Hello and welcome to Dan Andrews' Hotel Quarantine.
Mirrors on the ceiling, the pink champagne on ice, and she said, we're all just prisoners here of our own device.
Pink champagne on ice and nookie on tap. Feeling bored? Take your pick from any of our handsome, young and eager-to-please security guards who will organise a special quarantine fondue dinner party for you, followed by a game of Twister with all the other young and good-looking quarantine guests and a late-night frolic in our exclusive rooftop Corona spa.
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
The Hotel Quarantine, thanks to the useless and inept leadership of Labor's Dan Andrews and his hardcore lefty deputy health chief. You can check out of the Hotel Quarantine whenever you like, but now, like everyone else in Australia, we can never leave. But enough of incompetent politicians. Yesterday, the greatest political leader of our age, US President Donald Trump, finally spoke up about the cultural civil war. Speaking in the shadow of the majestic Mount Rushmore and the monument to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Teddy Roosevelt and Abe Lincoln, Trump gave possibly the most important speech of his first term in office, and I believe he has now set himself up to win his second. Sounding like a guest on this very show, Donald Trump spoke about Western civilization, about our Judeo-Christian heritage, about the great artists and writers and talents of the Western canon. He spoke of the glorious American story of American exceptionalism, and he spoke of freedom, equality, justice and liberty, as enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
All men are created equal. These immortal words set in motion the unstoppable march of freedom. Our founders boldly declared that we are all endowed with the same divine rights given us by our Creator in heaven, and that which God has given us, we will allow no one ever to take away, ever.
And he did not pull any punches on the great evil that we have repeatedly been talking about since this show began on the evening Donald Trump was elected in 2016.
1776 represented the culmination of thousands of years of Western civilization and the triumph of not only spirit, but of wisdom, philosophy, and reason. And yet, as we meet here tonight, there is a growing danger that threatens every blessing our ancestors fought so hard for, struggled, they bled to secure. Our nation is witnessing a merciless campaign to wipe out our history, defame our heroes, erase our values, and indoctrinate our children. Angry mobs are trying to tear down statues of our founders, deface our most sacred memorials, and unleash a wave of violent crime in our cities. Many of these people have no idea why they're doing this, but some know exactly what they are doing. They think the American people are weak and soft and submissive. But no, the American people are strong and proud, and they will not allow our country and all of its values, history, and culture to be taken from them.
The insidious, hardcore, neo-Marxist, totalitarian political agenda that is tearing at the fabric of the West. Identity politics, political correctness, and their sinister offspring, cancel culture.
Their political weapons is cancel culture, driving people from their jobs, shaming dissenters, and demanding total submission from anyone who disagrees. In our schools, our newsrooms, even our corporate boardrooms, there is a new far-left fascism that demands absolute allegiance. If you do not speak its language, perform its rituals, recite its mantras, and follow its commandments, then you will be censored, banished, blacklisted, persecuted, and punished. It's not going to happen to us. Make no mistake, this left-wing cultural revolution is designed to overthrow the American Revolution. In so doing, they would destroy the very civilization that rescued billions from poverty, disease, violence, and hunger, and that lifted humanity to new heights of achievement, discovery, and progress.
And it wasn't all just words. To loud applause and cries of 4 more years, Trump promised to arrest hundreds of the vandals and monument desecrators and prosecute them with a minimum of 10 years in jail. He also attacked the institutions that have allowed this insidious nihilistic, anarchist self-loathing to develop amongst an entire generation. And he pinned the blame squarely on the left-wing academics, media and politicians.
The violent mayhem we have seen in the streets and cities that are run by liberal Democrats in every case is the predictable result of years of extreme indoctrination and bias in education, journalism, and other cultural institutions. Against every law of society and nature, our children are taught in school to hate their own country and to believe that the men and women who built it were not heroes, but that were villains. The radical view of American history is a web of lies. All perspective is removed. Every virtue is obscured. Every motive is twisted. Every fact is distorted. And every flaw is magnified until the history is purged and the record is disfigured beyond all recognition.
Trump then went through the achievements and philosophies of the 4 great presidents carved up behind him on the side of Mount Rushmore, repeatedly and cleverly reminding the audience and America that in tearing down statues and symbols, the thugs, criminals and anarchists are attempting to destroy the soul of the nation. Donald Trump is doing what I have been crying out for weeks and months: strong conservative leadership that recognises just how pernicious and dangerous and successful the left's march through our institutions has been.
The radical ideology attacking our country advances under the banner of social justice. But in truth, it would demolish both justice and society. It would transform justice into an instrument of division and vengeance. And it would turn our free and inclusive society into a place of repression, domination, and exclusion.
After praising the Judeo-Christian foundations upon which the American dream was built, after pointing out that the current radical left would tear down even the great Martin Luther King, he then made this critical comment.
We stand tall, we stand proud, and we only kneel to Almighty God.
Well, somebody had to say it. Scott Morrison, that might be a line you should think about nicking. The culture wars are real. We are under attack. You can pretend it's not your problem, like Scott Morrison does, or you can run up the white flag like Boris Johnson has. But in the end, the reason the left keep failing in elections is because the great silent majority know, as Trump does, that this is a values and ideas war, and we must win. If there are any good stonemasons in South Dakota, maybe they should start sharpening their tools. I'm sure there's room for a 5th statue up there on Mount Rushmore.